Good morning, everyone. That's what's going on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the Microefutures regular trading hours session. I'm JJ, and our goal here is to cut through all the double talk and gibberish to help regular folks earn a living in this business, manage their risk, and stay alive from day to day. Right? Longevity. All right, so we have an interesting scenario. I found this slide of a deal that I traded out for some folks, and it's the distribution is quite violent. And I'm going to go through this a little bit pre-open, and we're going to talk about how we're going to trade this. So yesterday we had a Fed day, and the market had inventory underneath 5704 for a couple of days. We had one look above and fail. Then we had that B profile, right? That's an accumulation profile of product, and then we got to sell that because of the Fed, and then we also got to sell it in the overnight. Overnight inventory was long, and then it finally corrected down. Now everybody was like, "Oh my God, what happened? Was there news? Who said what? What happened?" Right? Well, I'm going to show you what happened. Now there could have been a news event, but a news event triggers order flow, right? The news event, on these Fed days, this buying is very similar to a penny stock. It's very shaky buying. And the people who buy this move, they are what we call flippers. They are not long term investors. You know what they're like? They're like people who do speed dating, right? They're not going to hold, they're not, they don't want a long term relationship with the ES. They want to get in and hey, it was supposed to go to 5,800, but it didn't. Let's get out. Wham. Right? So they all dump at the same time, and they all dumped, about 5 o'clock in the morning. It's an old term, flippers. The reason is in the old days, I would have to pay a promoter to come in and buy stock on behalf of my clients, right? My clients would have tens, if not hundreds of millions of shares, and we'd always have to find someone and pay them to bring in buying. Now, sometimes those guys were really good. They bring in people who buy the stock and believe in it and hold it forever, right? Sound familiar? Right? Meme people, right? What do you guys call it? Cubic zirconia hands, right? Sometimes they would bring in people who would just hold the stock, buy it in the morning, sell it in the afternoon. We used to call them flippers. They flipped out. In the old days, too, they would call that writing wooden tickets, right? So think about a Sopranos boiler room where they just get in a bunch of people to buy, and those people have no intention of paying for the trade, so they flip out. That's the old days in equities, right? In futures, you have to have margin up. But anyway, it gives you the psychology of the buyers who bought this move. They are not long term players. And as soon as the trade started growing south, they were gone, right? Webistics. Exactly, Matt. Webistics, right? The unsophisticated term for this is a pump and dump. Now, it's not that this was done or orchestrated on purpose, but because people behave and trade in a certain way, things seem to repeat themselves because guess what? The business is always the same. Somebody asked me today, what's inventory? And I was like, wow, inventory is this chart shows the inventory accumulation of distribution of ES contracts. It could be the inventory accumulation and distribution of oranges. It's just a sales chart. So what happened was when the chart, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to bring over the 5-minute candle wax. Okay. I'm just going to show you from this move. We're going to draw a volume profile. Okay. So here's when that selling started. You see, and there's, this was distribution. We were distributing product to all these people above 57.29. Then what happened was once we hit that area here, we just ran out of buying and somebody started to sell. And as you can see, as soon as we got to 57.29 and we took out these lows, right? As soon as we took out these lows, I call this the piñata low, because when you break that low, all of this candy starts to fall out, right? Because larger traders, if they're long, they'll be using these lows as their stop, right? That's a structural way of looking at things. So when the market took out those lows, check this out. If you drag the volume profile, watch, it hits the low, goes right to the middle of the next zone down, and then it starts to consolidate. And if I drag that volume profile out, you'll see how the position underneath 56.93 starts getting bigger, right? And then we have a little bit of a distribution here, and we're right back down to 56.93. So that's what happens in these markets. When you have a liquidation, you'll have the market liquidate, 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 and then the short sellers come in here. Wholesale will build a position, and then they'll sell it up here. Notice we got to the middle of the next zone. The sellers stepped in because we still have inventory. What is inventory? Inventory is a supply of contracts. There's still people that are trapped up here. And when we got to the midpoint, here they go, right? Not everybody sells at the same time. So how do we manage our expectations and trade through the rest of the day? Well, that gives you an idea of what we're looking at on a 5-minute. I'm looking at the market profile and the 1-minute chart here. My balance was up here. And honestly, if I came in right now, I would use this 86 to 94 as a balance zone. Okay? Because I'm here, I'm at 8 times balance. And if we drop down here, I got to put 16 of these down here. Right? So if I were to redo the balance zones, my balance would be somewhere between 56.86 and 56.94. And then I would double it. You see? That's what I do right now. If I just came in and started trading, the levels have been working, so I'm not going to change them. It's the same product, so they are going to work. Even if I have to go to 16 times discount, 32 times discount, it really doesn't matter, right? It's all the same product. So let's see what we do. I would use, see now the other thing I was waiting for that point of control in the overnight to move down from 57.66. That's where we had distribution. And you can see it on market profile. Now we have accumulation at 57.04, 57.05. Trades off the open. Let's go take a look. Right. So we know that today's, now for traders who are looking for that breakout to the downside, right? You need the market to take out yesterday's low at 56.75 and 3/4. That low has to be taken out for there to be any serious change. Otherwise, it's going to be an inside day. I would imagine, given the market conditions and what's going on in the world of finance, I would imagine the overnight low to get tested and the previous day low. I would be very surprised if we didn't come down here and tickle these areas and see how they respond. Okay? So, not that I'm short biased, but I'm reality biased right now, right? Let's see if we can hold that X low going into the open. We might open just around the same place that we opened yesterday. And welcome to all the folks joining us on YouTube. VWAP's up there at 57.21 and change. So if we drew that volume profile, you guys love volume profile, right? So here's the volume profile of the move, and you drag that move out. Look at, see all the inventory underneath 56.94? And then we took it up and sold it at 57.10, 57.06, and we put it on sale, and look where we came back to. We came right back to 56.94. See? So how do you trade this now? How do you take this information that I've given you and make a living from it? Well, what we're going to be doing is I would like, if I was a long, I would love for the market to come down here, tickle that 56.82, and then come back up over 56.94 for a nice long, right? Because then I'd know that all the sellers have been squeezed out of it, and then we're ready to take it back up. And then I'd look for sellers at 57.02 because that's where the inventory is. See? Hey, Christian. I'm not going to redraw my zones, Puck Hog, because they're working. But if I had just come in the morning, I would use 56.86 to 56.94 and change as balance. Does that make sense? You guys kind of get what I'm talking about? There's to explain the liquidation on market profile. Here it is. Whoop, let me just clean that up. So we had all our inventory from yesterday and the overnight over 57.24. I call that a piñata low. When you break that, all of this candy falls out. And that's what caused that liquidation lower. Okay? And this is what we do. We take markets up to sell. Let me show you. Okay, this is a deal I did a while ago. It shall remain nameless. Right? So what you do is, right, there's not a lot of money, but this is back in the day, right? You create a nice chart. This brings people in and then you liquidate, right? This is how you distribute size, right? Does that move look very similar to yesterday's move? Kind of the same, right? And then you try and get some dollar volume out of it. So you're always a net seller, right? It's a market. We're here to distribute product. Here it was a crappy stock. In the ES, it's ES contracts, right? We are here to sell a product. Hopefully somebody buys it. So when you don't have buyers, what do you gotta do? You gotta put it on sale. Right? Real simple. Right? So now that you guys understand what's going on, say you're long between 94 and 98. The offer is moving higher. There's going to be sellers at that stop at 57.02 right there. See here? Check it out. There's going to be sellers right here because there'll be some product for sale there. So if you're long, that's great, right? Because we technically did a couple of look below and fails of 56.94, right? This trade that I'm talking about is based on the oldest business principle ever since the first caveman sold bones. When you run out of bones, the price of bones goes up. Very simple. Markets rotate lower to find buyers, then they rotate higher to find sellers. There's our seller. See? They just showed themselves. Ah, I do. I was waiting for somebody to ask that question, Andy. The high here, where U and V hit the same level, right where those single prints are. That's where the sellers stepped in on that half hour bar, and they stepped in at the same place. I wouldn't call it a weak high or a low because it's in the middle of a range. It's not a high or a low. But that's what we call a mechanical level where they all step in at the same place. What's up, LC? I got to figure out a way to get you on this stream. No idea how to do that. Somebody groove with these YouTube ones and zeros and tell me how to do that. See, so we got a nice little rotation going here. Got a nice rotation, right? Do we hold 56.94 going into the open? Well, we got 13 minutes. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so the buying is not at all sticky, right? Those people were like speed daters. They didn't stay on the date very long. You have to understand too, after a big move, right? What did we do yesterday? We had a big move. Where was the J low yesterday? The low in J period. Oh, huh. Look where the overnight low is. Dun, dun, dun. That's the Fed move up, right? That's the Fed move up. So we came right down to where it started. Right? You can't make this stuff up. Why is the top red and the bottom half of the chart blue? Which chart? This one? The candle wax chart? Oh, these are just my balance zones. So my original balance zone was up here, 50 to 54, double it to 42. That's the discount zone. And then 4 times discount is 57.26. 26. And 8 times discount is 56.94. That's why I just make them different colors. It's easier to do the look below and fail because you go from red to blue, back up into red, right? And the business reason for the trade is very simple, right? The business reason for going long would be that the sell orders under 56.94 are complete. So then you can go and buy a little bit and be a seller at 98.99. Simple. Simple, simple, simple trade. So you go long, you put your stop here, you sell a little bit here at 98, and if you have a runner, put out your sell orders so they take you when the market goes higher. If you don't get taken, hit the bids and be gone, right? When you're long, put sell orders out because you don't know anybody wants to buy your product. You can't just magically assume that if you're long at 95 that they're going to buy it at 56.99. The only way you're going to know is if you put a sell order out and see if they buy it. We are always looking for the seller. They're right here. They're at 5,700 and change. Right? The top of the candle is where the seller initiates. Then other sellers follow and compete. Thanks, Julia. Cool. Now I just need to find out what OBS is. But thank you for the advice. I'll let the team know. This is called rotation. So what's happening is the large traders who act as wholesale, right, and the wholesalers, what they're doing is we have liquidating inventory coming out, but we have shorts coming in and buying here. So the wholesalers will build a position on top of the shorts. So if this was a box, they'll buy below this level, and as soon as they flip over that level, they'll flip to the offer and sell. And they'll make money both ways until the selling dies down and more buying comes in or more selling comes in. Right? We know it's an inventory correction because the overnight low did not take out the previous day low. If it had been serious, what the old guys call other time frame, longer time frame traders, if they were selling out, we wouldn't have stopped here right at the J low. Right? It just means that they sold the market right down to where they bought it. And then they stopped. Give it a rest. Let's see if some buyers come in. If you hold price steady, buyers will come in. Remember Field of Dreams? Build it, they will come. That's what we used to say when we were selling stock. Long-term put holders were not squeezed out. Yes. Now, that's a thing that I don't talk about, but I'm sure there is effect because tomorrow is what? Your Witches of Eastwick, right? Right. You got the triple witching, right? Is it the triple witching? So you will have some volatility, right? The OPEX. Hey, Anne Marie, how are you? I just call it the Witches of Eastwick. It was a good movie, you know? Right? You know me, I have to make fun of everything, right? I can't, you can't go through this business after 33 years and be too serious. You just get heart attacks when that happens. You got to have a laugh, like seriously, right? So I don't know how that it's going to affect the order flow, right? The only thing that you need to know, right? Yeah, the tape does flip on a dime. The only thing you need to know is to watch your caboose, okay? Watch your butt in this market. Do not get sloppy. Do not turn your back on this thing, right? Because especially when the market is working out the macro, right? The speculators that rule this market right now, they're like velociraptors for those Jurassic Park fans. The people who trade size are insanely well capitalized. They're very sophisticated. They have algorithms that allow them to trade so fast, right? The worst job on the street right now, Anne Marie would be a macro analyst. Every time they like do a model or something like that, this guy goes and changes it. And then they got to adapt. And I don't know how, like, you know, but now you guys have like meditation and stuff like that. Back in the day, all the macro analysts would have a bottle of Jack Daniels on their desk. My God, that must be crazy trying to model something and everything change and then model something and everything change. They aren't sleeping at night. Poor guys and girls. Is the president speaking today? Shaz just put that in the room. I don't know if he is. Does he ever stop? Ugh. The only thing is, remember his first term, the algos weren't fine tuned. So the algos really didn't have shock absorbers in his first term. Now they've got some shock absorbers on the algos. So they don't react as violently to his tweets and stuff. But there's still a reaction. And you don't want to be caught on the wrong side because the the size of the ranges, right? Our overnight range is what? 5680 to 5750, 5760, and it's an inside range. We are still inside yesterday's range. So it's still business as usual, but the business is a little whacked out, right? So remember, act like pros, be pros. Don't throw your money away. Wait for those good trades. Like if you're long 95, 90, 96, let them have a little bit here at 98. Put some offers out. Yeah, I'm in Liverpool and I've got my window open because it's warm. So I apologize for the background noise. It's another beautiful sunny day in Liverpool. See, look at that. Seller at 56.98. Remember, just take it easy. Let the market find the bid, right? I have one of my favorite clients. He passed away at Christmas. He'd always, the first thing in the morning, he'd call me because he always had some deal. He was, and he'd be like, Gorilla, you big bitch, go find the bid. That was his instructions. Click. So I'd go find, I'd go and tap the market, sell, 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 right? Till you found a level where you sold and the bid didn't disappear. You'd be like, ooh, a buyer, right? Then you'd bid above the buyer and lift the offers and get them to chase you and then hammer them, right? Good times. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to find the bid. Where are the big buyers? How do we find out? Because the offer will come down, hit the bid, and then bing, pop up. If there is no bid, the offer will keep going lower, right? A little bit of price discovery inside yesterday's range. So remember, 56.82 and a half on the downside. There should be some bids here at the open of yesterday. I wouldn't depend on it, but let's see if there is. And if we break, then we're looking at this 56.76 low from yesterday. Okay. I am a little short biased because the thing after you have a sellout like we did yesterday, right? It was just a total pump and dump, right? When you have that kind of a situation, yeah, we are in range but below value. Exactly, Elsie. Exactly, right? Oh, look. We're breaking 94, right? It's happening already. As the market's going to open, where do we open? Just let it open. Let the large size traders and the tire biters figure out where the open is, okay? You just chill and relax. Let them find the bid. Hey, Chuck Norris, what's going on? Yes, your kung fu was strong, my friend. Well done. Okay, let's go see who's coming into the comedy club here. If you're short under 94, you can expect some buying as we get to the overnight low. Somebody will front run that. If there's no front run, that means woo, right? They're seeing sellers, right? So if there's no front run here, you see that's a front run. But if they just come and just crash through that, that means that the buyers have seen sellers. That gives you information. Thanks, Anne Marie. Yeah, the levels actually make us look smarter than we are. It's because it's just all inventory and cost basis. And with electronic trading, I have to actually give credit to the guys who write all the algorithms, people like LC who write code, because they allow us to get such beautiful precision in our entries and our risk. The Vancouver days. Okay, if we take out those A stops, we're going to have a little bit of short covering because anybody who was short off the open was using the open as a stop, right? So now that's going to generate a little buying. Let's see if we can get up to 94. We know that there's going to be some sellers up here. So what I'm going to try, see, and I'm waiting too long. See, I wanted this candle to complete before I went long. And sometimes you'll miss the trade, okay? That's a nice look below and fail. Let's see if we backfill this at all. I put out a lookout bid at 98 and it just ran away from me. That was a nice trade. I should have been long 95, 96 as it came up, but I wasn't fast enough. Now, that's seller at 5,700. Come out, wherever you are. If they see buyers, they're going to lift the offers up to 5,702. Right? If we clear the O2s, next offer up will be 4. Gosh, that was a nice trade, right? Then here we're going to hit some traffic here at around just underneath 6. I don't know how, Chuck Norris. You want the honest answer? Why don't I automate any of my strategies? Because I don't know how. I'm old, right? I got an electric toothbrush. I think that's progress. You can get a code monkey. Why not pay someone? I've never really thought about it. And I don't know anything about it. Plus, I like doing it. Otherwise, what else would I do? Right? I'm like a guy who likes to work on their car and motorcycle, right? Yeah, machine learning at 57. Listen, I'm just learning about AI, and hey, I finally bought some Bitcoin in December, right? I used to be a network engineer in 1991 when they had Banyan Vines, okay? So my tech knowledge is not really up there. Yeah, I just started that 2 weeks ago, Chuck Norris, streaming on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe somebody will. We have a lot of coders in our room. All right. If we clear the 7s, right, we're looking for traffic up here. Just, you see where the sellers, they tapped in. And you know what? I miss my flip phone, right? There were sellers here, right? I didn't think there was anything wrong with the flip phone, right? And then, of course, up here is the next area, right? See where they initiated before, they will initiate again. Hey, Elliot, how you doing? There's data? Okay. Okay, we're going to backfill a little. Now, when we backfill, I'm curious, do we stop just around here? I don't know what data. There's always something. Existing home sales. Okay. Well, you guys had better have all gone and bought a house. Stimulate the economy. Get out there and spend. See, distribution. This is distribution on a small scale. So remember longs that you want to be offered out in the 6. If you were long 2, I'd be selling it for. I mean, let's not kid anybody. I'm not going to turn down a buyer at 6. I'm not that hoity-toity. See, here we're dropping into that 5,700. Did we catch a bid? Yeah, not enough to get over 2, right? There's competition at 2. Here we go. Whoa, there we go. Come on. Seller at 4. Clean them out. There we go. That was nice. Right? So how you can scalp that is you can buy a little bit here, right? Just when these candles come down. This is not an A plus setup. So let me just make that clear. So you're buying this and you're putting your stop here because the reason for the trade goes away if you get back down in here. So you buy this and you just flip it into that rotation. Flip into that rotation. That's something you can do. There's a trade for a faster trader, right? What else can we do? Oh, we got all those poor longs coming in here going, what the hell happened? I went to bed and this thing's down 25 points. Oh, you know what I mean, Elliot. That seller's still at 6. So now we have a little rotation going, right? We're taking this and we're selling it here. This was a little bit of a discount sale to bring in the buying. Lovely. You'll notice that these patterns, they repeat themselves because the business never changes. Whether it's on a 1 minute time frame or a 10 minute or a half an hour, right? It's just the distribution accumulation of inventory product, right? Inventory is just a fancy way of saying product, right? These are just ES contracts. I'm curious. Let me get a show of hands. How many folks who are listening to this stream automate their trading strategies? I'm just curious. I always like to know how behind the times I am. No, I'm okay. I'm just curious. I'm like just wondering if it's a thing now, like Crocs, you know, which I refuse to wear. Where's Omni? I'm just curious if a lot of people do. I mean, we have a lot of coders in our room. Yeah, see, I have no idea how automation works, right? When I think automation, I think Arthur C. Clarke in 2001 with Hal. I know you've LC's messed around with it before. Just curious. Always want to know what the cool kids are doing. Speaking of which, how's the coin of bitterness? 85,550. I think if that thing holds over 85,300, we could distribute. Let's see. All right, we caught a bid. Let's go up to 778, right? Okay, VWAP is lurking here, right? Always remember if you are long, right? VWAP is lurking like an unfed dog right here, waiting to sell into this. So remember that if you're long here, you want to front run VWAP because everybody else is going to. Yeah, I'm always just curious about the whole algo thing because everybody talks about them. I have no idea how they work. It's a very interesting subject. Yeah, that's true, Steve. They hire like, math PhDs to do this stuff. So very true. Fascinating stuff, though. I mean, I'm very appreciative of algos and automation. They give us such precise. Look, I told you they were going to front with on the View app, right? See, look, check it out. I don't even know what those are, Chuck Norris. You got to remember, I'm 56. When you say model, I say Cindy Crawford, right? That's right. So I have my method of trading is very sort of simple blue collar trading, right? So we have a little position at 6. Like I know where the position is and I know we're going to liquidate into it. And now let's try and move that distribution up here. Do I ever look at call and put positioning on the SPY and SPX? I do not. Hey, Funk, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. No, I do not. I do not know how to interpret that data and incorporate it into my trading execution setup. So that's why there's a lot of information. I'm sure it's good. There's a ton of information out there, but I don't know how to incorporate that into a trade setup or a risk setup. But I'm sure there's a way I mean, people do it, so I know that people are doing it. I just don't know how because I've never looked at that stuff. There's VWAP. I'm sure there are resources on how to do it, but as they say, it's a little above my pay grade. With me, because there's so much information out there that they throw at us, it's really, really hard to take what information is actionable in at the level of trading that you're at, right? And it has to fit your time frame and your risk. And how do you take that information and make it actionable? That's the hardest thing I found in retail trading because there's so much info, but how do you actually take it and use it? Right? That's so difficult because they throw so much at you, man. They throw everything at you but the kitchen sink. So how do you know what to take and what to use and how to put that in an execution plan and then make it a reliable execution plan, right? And risk is the big thing, right? You got to incorporate the risk in the execution plan. Like for example, if we were short underneath 57.14, the risk is that if we offer over VWAP, we're gone, right? So we can stay short down to 10. If we're short like 13, down to 10, that makes sense, right? Yeah, the old fortune teller trading thing. I still remember when the Penguin wanted to give that guy 50 grand, the stock psychic. He was going to give him 50 grand to tell him what stocks to buy. I talked him down to just send him 20. And of course, he lost money. He was a multimillionaire, but I can't believe that guy actually got 20 grand out of him. Good salesman. Hey, didn't they used to there used to be like a psychic hotline in the 80s, right? With what was her name? Dionne Warwick. Maybe we could do a psychic hotline for stocks. Call me now. All right, back to work. Enough faffing about, as they say in Liverpool. All right, can we get over VWAP? So look at this, folks. This is beautiful business today, right? You've got accumulation, distribution into higher distribution, right? It's beautiful. Now we have supply up here from the overnight, that liquidation. That's why we're kind of hitting the brakes here in the 14s. If we can get enough people short under here and in here, we can push up because they're going to push the car up the hill. Madame Cleo, that was it. How you doing, Jeff? How's Minnesota? Is the weather broken now? Spring there? I'm looking forward to summer. My data is 5 minutes behind yours, Moran? Oh, that's weird. I know the stream is on a bit of a delay, but didn't think it was that bad. How do you decide which supply below or above 2 hours ago or 12 hours ago is considered into your business plan? Great question. Because you the chart will tell you where it is. That's the beautiful thing. The chart will tell you where the supply is. All you got to do is look at time and volume traded. So really on a short-term basis now, there's not a lot of overhead supply until we get to 57.26 looking at a 5-minute chart. Right? Ooh, we got some buyers. Now, let's take a look. Hi, Fergie. How you doing? Welcome. Let's take a look at this beast, right? So let me just get rid of versus VWAP. I like to, for me, it's like a stew, Chuck Norris. Little VWAP, a little volume profile tells you where the volume profile just tells you where the loot is buried, right? VWAP tells you where you could expect some buying or some selling, right? Because traders are judged by their execution via VWAP. So if I run a volume profile now, you can use both together, right? They go together well, Chuck Norris, kind of like chocolate and peanut butter, right? So as we get, you could probably expect a little bit of a seller here, a little bit of a seller here, a little bit of a seller here, That's why we're creeping through these single prints, because the volume is now below us. So now that we've got all the goodies, we're going to take the goodies to market to resell them. Right? That's all it is. Zip, zip. Right? That's why you guys have that, what do you guys call it? The V-shaped recovery? Right? You get a liquidation into wholesale positions to be resold back into the retail flow for profit. See? Right? As they say in Salt Lake City, it's just commerce. It's just commerce. Whatever you use, right? How do you put it in your trading setup? So, for example, VWAP, right? I don't take trades off VWAP. So if I was long here and we came into VWAP, I'd be a seller. That's how I use VWAP. Volume profile tells me that the position is here. Now that I know if we're over VWAP, I'm less likely to short it, right? Because we are above the position. That's like standing on the highway in front of a truck when it leaves the warehouse. Might get run over. Hopefully that makes sense. Takes a little while to put that together, but whatever you use, make sure you have a trade setup that takes advantage of it. Like that was a beautiful trade, right? You sold into VWAP? Beautiful. See, now you're a proper villain. Hey, Christian, yeah, you've got some web skills, don't you? Right. So we have those single prints because they're trapped longs, from 57.25 down to 20. We went into those single prints to grab supply because we ran out. Now let's see if we come back and we hold VWAP, right? Because what we're doing is we're in distribution now above VWAP. So now with the market, that red candle was what we call a backfill, right? You run out of buyers, you go back and find them, fill them. You are, Moran. Are you psychic? We could use one of those. Next level is 22. Nice work, 1K. Hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, that's what I want to turn you guys from retail traders into proper villains. Right? Take what you can, give nothing back, or very little. Let's see, can we clean out that 20 and a quarter seller? There we go. Come on. 22 on deck. Oh, a tick short. That was a good try. Let's see if we can do it on the next move up. Leave the crypto kids alone. I like the crypto kids. They're the cowboys of this of our century. Riding into markets that I have no idea where they go. News in 2 minutes. Thanks, Elsie. Hey, we did tag 22. So, what happened just now? What happened was we had a market correct inventory. Everybody thought it was going to go lower, right? Even me, I thought we were going to take out the overnight low and the previous day low. We didn't, right? So that information told us don't get short down here. Don't get short in the hole. How many people do you think didn't know that information? right? How many people do you think are short under 5706? How many people do you think are short under 5700? Because they're the ones who are helping hold the bid right here, right? They're the ones who are holding the bid while we push higher. Happens every time this thing sells off, especially after a consolidation or we're in an uptrend, right? We had we had that correction, right? From September, we went back down to the September lows. Look at that. We filled in the single prints. Check that out. Amazing. 57.26. The levels are working, right? So bigger traders, how they trade this is when they buy the look below and fail, you buy some here and you can sell at every level if you want. If you're a full boat trader, you hold it and sell into this, right? Because these trades are centered around the concept of rotation. You look below, you fail. You don't have to sell under 94 anymore, right? They've created demand by taking price lower, and you will rotate back up to the top of the zone. Now let's see if we do a look above and fail of 57.26. That's what I'd be looking for, and a short back down to VWAP. If that doesn't happen, right? If we accept over 26, please be careful shorting because you're still in the front end of the move. Like right now is the front end of the move, right? It's almost like the market heard me, right? Oh, you want a short? Okay, here. Turn around while I knife you in the back. Right? Let's see if we can tag the close. There should be a seller somewhere up in this area. One time framing exactly after two periods. Any wisdom about morning moves versus midday moves? The only wisdom I have is just watch your risk. And when the business reason for your trade goes away, get the hell out of Dodge. Right? See, this is the problem with selling or fading the front end of a move. Right? The front end of the move, you know what this move is for? This move is for people who are long 10,000 contracts under VWAP to blow it out into. Right? This is a move that allows people to liquidate their positions into the flow for profit. Right? You don't want to short that. You want to short when the sellers show up and put the stuff on sale. We had another set of single prints, didn't we, that I didn't mark off? Oops. Oh, no, those aren't single prints. They looked like them without the R there. How many people do you think are short underneath? Oh, 57.10. Probably quite a few. This market has a very, very bad habit of running out of supply just when everybody goes and shorts it. Happens every single time. Well, if you've been trading for as long as I have, you understand the sequence. And if you come into our room at Microefutures, I have videos that show you how to tell when people are trapped short. It's a part of the business, right? There's a sequence of events that happen when you create a low. And there's a sequence of events when people get trapped short that if you learn how to recognize that, you learn not to trade against it. So say you're not long, at least you're not losing money shorting under VWAP, adding at 22, adding at 26, adding at 30. By the time you hit 34, 38, your account's gone. Yes, they did, Matt. and we flushed them out. Now we got shorts trapped, right? It's an equal opportunity spanking machine. Of course, if the order flow exists, of course you want to, if you were long, wouldn't you want to turn your inventory into cash, right? You don't want to hold inventory that you can't get rid of, right? So when we identify who's short, Emu, we have a trade that's based on that. That's the look below and fail. It's very simple, right? And we don't focus so much on who's short and where. We focus on where the sellers are. As you can see, the sellers are lifting their offer higher and higher and higher, which means they've seen buyers. So there's no reason to short it right now. But people are shorting it because they think, oh, it went too high. It should have, blah, 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 right? But they're not watching that the offer keeps moving higher from 22 up to 42 in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, right? You don't need to identify how many people are trapped. You will see the signs. The offer will lift because trapped shorts all rush in to cover at the same time. And the people who have the supply go lift the offer, right? Just like, when you see a kitten play with a piece of string, they lift the string to get the cat to jump. Same thing. It's no different. Now we're going to backfill this. So if this is a look below and fail and you're short, right? Say you're shorting this area here at 39.40, right? It's going to drop. It's going to find some bids at 38. So if you're short 39 like I am, put some bids in at 38 and see if you get hit. Then bid 37, hit. 36 3/4 bid. And let's see if I can get hit. If not, I'm taking offers. Come on, hit me, you dirty little rat. Not getting me at 36 3/4. So I'm watching the offer come up over the 38s. Ugh, I don't like that. If that offer does not move down, scratch the last two contracts, right? Oh, great. Buy them. Buy them. I'm flat, right? I got lucky. Somebody clipped it. That is the look above and fail. So you short the back end or what we call the backfill. Look above, fail. Short, stop, and target one. And if it can't offer down like this, take them back because it's going to rotate back up because it's a short-term inventory correction, right? It was a nice LBF this morning. Now let's see if we still have a seller here at 42. Always make sure you identify that there's a seller before you short a market or a stock. If there is no seller, there is no reason to short the stock. Just because you want it to go down doesn't mean it will, right? There has to be a seller and they're engaging. If the sellers are not engaging, right? If the sellers are not engaging, get the heck out of Dodge because you've lost your backup, right? Yeah, that's an interesting deal, Matt. It's an interesting deal. I got to be careful recommending brokers because of solicitation rules, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Over 42 targets 46, then 50. Sierra chart is a pain in the butt to set up. Once you have it set up, you'll love it. It took me a Memorial Day long weekend, a whole bunch of pots of coffee and a couple of bottles of wine. And I worked on it from the close on a Friday till Tuesday morning. Hey, that's a good idea, Emu. Get ChatGPT to help you set up your charts. Now there's forward thinking. I like that. The one nice thing I like about that software, and I could say it, is that it's never frozen on me, right? Since 2012, it's never frozen. The only time it ever froze was when I tried to do a Bitcoin chart and I put too many ticks in and it was like just downloading tons of ticks. Oh, that's right. Diana, our friend from the room, has great videos, right? If you're long off the 42s, right, give them a little at 46. Well, that escalated rather quickly. Anybody got the breath in the room? I mean, there are lots of other good software programs too. I've always been curious to try NinjaTrader. Hey, Chi-Town, thank you, brother. Minus 1.9 to 1. I've heard good things about NinjaTrader. I've always wanted to try it. Okay, do we have another look below and fail of 42? Should I be selling the 38s? No, I think I'll wait. Right. If you are shorting this area, your out is the top of that candle. Right. Right. Have a lookout order or offer in at 41 and 3/4. And if they take your lookout order, be careful. I do not know, Tone. Honestly, I don't know why people are saying that. I don't know enough about a deal to comment on it, but I hope it works out well for everyone. I'm not seeing it quite clearly here. I want to short this, but I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait till they really show me that there's a seller. Because every time we get down to the 39.40, they pull the offer, right? There's some bids down underneath 40, and you can see the market is just walking away from those 39 bids. Here they go. When they have to fill them, that's when you want to be short. See, this is where they mess with your head. Yeah, exactly. Right? I would rather short it a little lower. The lows are getting higher. There is a seller at 42, right? Now, what I used to do all the time is I'd go long, I'd go short, and I'd get stopped out a couple of times waiting for this, right, to work. Now, overnight inventory was short. It corrected up, and we are at, gosh, we've had a hell of a move here. Let's see. But I can't get a feel for the order flow here. That's just how it worked out today, that it's 4 points. I can't go long until we get over 43, right? If I see a seller and say I short 41 and a quarter, right? I'm going to put my stop above 42 and I'm going to put a bid underneath 39, right? One at 39, one at 38 and three quarters. And if that offer gets up over 42, I'm going to scratch, right? There's my seller. There's my backup is right here. If I lose my backup, I'm out of the trade. There's no reason for me to be in the trade. Right? That seller, so far I got backup. Let's see. Can I cover some at 39 and a quarter? Boom. I'm flat. And I'll just scalp it on the way down, right? It stays under 38. You got to watch out because sometimes those bids come in and they just pull the offer so fast it makes your head spin. Let's see where that next candle opens. Right? We need that seller to move down. Look, it's not. See? See how they just lifted? And that just destroys people. Jeez, look at that. Right? So if you are shorting and playing around on this, this helps you limit your risk, right? If the market can hold now over 42, right? Believe it or not, you'll be going long, but manage your long so you sell into strength, right? Because if you're not selling into strength, right, there's going to be a seller somewhere here. Make sure that if you're long 42, 43, right, sell into that move higher because this is choppy as hell, right? I know everybody wants to hold profits longer, and I understand that, but just make sure you pay yourself, right? So long 44, and I'm selling them, and I'm selling them, and I unfortunately have just one left, and I'm out at 48, right? Rotation up to 50. Wow, that was a short trap if I ever saw one, eh? Boy, oh boy, right? You saw me work through that. You saw me shorting that, getting stopped out, then going, ooh, look at that big green candle. That big green candle, we got to have follow through, but that big green candle tells us, oh, right? Yeah, value out here low to value area high, right? Just like 2016, right, LC? Oh, man, the good old days. Only in a massive, massive range, right? There's value area high, which is basically a fancy way of saying the top of the cost base. And back in the day, LC and I would take, value area low to value area high trades, but the ranges was like 20 points, right? 15, 20 points. Jeez. As Adam Sandler would say, "Jeez, crow." Look above and fail at 57.50, but be careful. Be careful. How are we looking on a longer term? Man, this looks like we're building out another balance zone, eh? Let's see. Hey Rudy, what's going on, man? Every time I see Rudy, I think of the football movie. So I do think that overnight high and 57.73 that we might get a little resistance. But let's see. How are things going in equity land? MSTR over 297. Interesting. Crabapple, look below and fail of 209.89. I like this Dow Corning. Fiber, fiber, fiber. Micro squish, trying to find a bottom here. Let's see if it does. You can see in Microsoft that we came right to the position, right? There's a little position here. We came right into it, stopped, finding some bids, right? You guys don't mind if I go through some of these equities, right? NVIDIA, last time we had a beautiful, if you want to look at that look below and fail, we had a nice look below and fail of 117 rotating all the way up to 130. And this, you see, it's kind of going sideways. So we need it to hold and stay over 117. As long as it does, then you'll get that rotation back up again. Okay. What else we have? Tesla. Tesla liquidated right back into that balance, right? Look below and fail of 228. We know that there's sellers up here in Tesla. Just 250, right? 250 seller in Tesla. What else you guys looking at? NVIDIA, Microsoft, blah, 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 blah. Amazon, the rainforest, right? Right back down into cost basis, right? Cost basis. Sell it, bring it right back down to cost basis, right? What else do we got? Google. Yeah, these things are all just liquidating back down into their cost basis areas. And Meta, this thing is very thinly traded. So big moves, right? The order book moves it quite a bit. And back to ES. Is it dumb to buy a stock without leverage and just hold it until it gets back to upper levels? Well, you just want to have a trade idea for a stock, right? Every time you take a trade, it's a business decision, right? So you have to outline what is the reason for going long, what is the reason for going short. So if you want to go long, you identify an area that the stock has looked below and comes back up over. That means you've cleaned out the sellers under that level and you have a place to put your stop. Now, if you're investing, you can use that in your investment strategy so you can build your position over time. Like say you're buying Microsoft for a 30-year time frame or a 10-year time frame, right? You can time your entries based upon inventory of the short term. And we teach you how to do that stuff. Well, this thing just bounced like a penny stock. Looking for 54. We're still inside yesterday's range. So I wouldn't consider it a trend day until we break out of yesterday's high. It's still an inside day, and I know that's kind of hard to grasp because the ranges are so big. We just went from 56.84 all the way to 57.52 off the open. Exactly, Elsie. Let's see what happens, right? What I'm waiting for is I'm looking for where the sellers step in, right? And the sellers are going to step in when we start running out of bids. The sellers will be like, they'll be all over this thing. But I have no idea, right? That look above and fail trade that I got stopped out on here told me, be careful on the short side. Just, you know, let's see what happens. Now, if we take out the overnight high, we're going to blow a lot of stops. If we take out the overnight high, it's probably pretty good odds that we'll go test that high of yesterday. And if we get over yesterday's high, I'll be looking for 57.82 and 3/4. It's just one of my levels. But that's a long ways away. Let's see what happens. I hate to use the word feeling, just because it gets me biased. Yeah, we'll see, Zazu. Do you ever trade ZN or use the DOM? I use the DOM to put my orders in. But to trade off the DOM? Dear God, no. There's no need to. When you got a beautiful 1-minute candle chart that tells you where the bids and the offers are. I'm a simplicity guy. I like to keep it simple so I can teach it simple so you guys can learn it simple so you can actually make some money. The more things you look at, the more confused you're going to get. Right? Now you can see that they're forced to sell under 54, right? Every time the offer goes up to 54, it gets knocked down, right? See? Just watch the offer. That's all you got to do, right? If you can watch the offer, now you see it lift, they found buyers, so they're going to make the buyers chase price higher. Right? That was a nice look below and fail of 54. I was too busy drawing on the screen to take the trade. Right? Looking for the overnight high at 57.60. Couple of ticks away. It's right there. There. Tag. Got it. Now let's see what we do. I'm a reactive trader. I react to what the market's doing. I don't like to predict. Shorts got squeezed like orange juice. They did. ZNZB. Yeah, I don't know what that is. If we take out that overnight high, it'll create a little bit of buying. Because of order flow, you mean? Fire away. Julian, fire away. So they dumped into it at the overnight high. How you read order flow? How do you know today was? I don't care who's moving it. I just know that when people get trapped short, if I had supply and I know that you were trapped short here, I would raise price if the order flow permitted and make you pay higher. It's really simple. That's all. There's really nothing complicated to this. What you want to focus on is your setup, right? Look below and fail, right? Look below and fail, right? Or a look above and fail. Keep it simple. Just think, how am I going to make money off of this information, right? Order flow trading and all of that stuff is all just marketing. Okay, you're all order flow traders, right? Everyone is an order flow trader. Yeah, look above it or fail to look above the overnight high. That would have been a good short, right? So you sell a little at 59, stop 60, 61, cover some 55, cover some 54, get paid. Thank you. Goodbye, right? Get in, get out, get paid, get out. Yeah, that's all a waste of time, Matsy. It's all a waste of time. You have to always ask yourself when you're looking at information, folks, how do I use this information and put it in a trade setup, make it repeatable, make it actionable, right? So I can actually make money from it. Otherwise, it's just great. It's like, like they used to say in Saturday Night Live, coffee talk, right? Otherwise, it's just coffee table chit chat, right? How do you incorporate it into a trade setup, right? It's got to make sense in a business sense. Otherwise, you're just looking at so much information, you're going to confuse yourself, right? This is where the shorts are trapped right now, between 57.26 and three quarter and 52, right? How do you know? Because when the market comes down here, ooh, there's a bid and it moves off the bid. Thanks, everyone. Come visit us at microefutures.com. Have a wonderful day. Trade safe out there. I'm waiting for a nice rotation, and then we can just go back and forth and play some ping pong. Right? We have a 7-day free trial. Come visit us, and I promise you'll learn. You might even have a good time learning. Have a wonderful day, folks. Thank you. Bye for now.